Every gilded cage is built with walls of comfort. The only question is what you're paying for them.
Today, we're going to do something a little different. We're going to reach back thousands of years to an ancient myth to help us decode the really strange new reality being built all around us by artificial intelligence. So, let me ask you something right off the bat, and it might be a little unsettling. Are the choices you're making, the things you want, even the thoughts you think are yours? Are they really your own? Or is your reality being subtly programmed, one click at a time? Because, that really gets to the core of what we're talking about today. We have to stop thinking of AI as just another tool, like a hammer or a search engine. The sources we're looking at suggest it's rapidly becoming something way more fundamental, kind of like a new operating system for society itself. All right, Section 1, Reality's new operating system. Let's dig into how AI is actually starting to manage our very experience of the world.
Yeah, this new system is a huge leap from, say, old school mass media. It doesn't just broadcast one message to everyone. No, it tailors its influence to your specific psychological profile. It's working 24/7 at a speed that's just impossible for a human to comprehend, and it's constantly adapting its strategy, all to create this immersive digital world, a world really of dopamine loops designed to do one thing: keep you scrolling, keep you clicking, and keep you engaged.
But, this whole thing isn't an accident. It didn't just pop up out of nowhere. The ambition to manage what people think, to control the narrative, that's not a new idea. In fact, it's a very, very old one. Okay, that brings us to Section 2, the architects of illusion. To really get a handle on where we're headed, we've got to look back at this long history of control. And you can see this clear evolution, right? Back in the mid-20th century, you had government programs like COINTELPRO, which used media manipulation to disrupt different movements here at home. Then you see the rise of super sophisticated corporate PR. But now with AI, that same ambition is automated, and it's scaled up in a way that just amplifies disinformation at a level that's, it's almost unimaginable. So there's a definite pattern here, right? More and more powerful technology being used to shape our reality. But to really, truly grasp the nature of this new reality, we need to look past recent history. We need to look at a much older, almost forgotten blueprint. And that brings us to Section 3, an ancient Gnostic blueprint. See, this blueprint comes from an ancient tradition called Gnosticism, and its central myth turns out to be an incredibly powerful metaphor for our digital age. Okay, so at the very heart of this Gnostic story is this figure called the Demiurge. Now, this isn't the ultimate true god. No, this is a lesser, flawed creator. It builds the material world, but this world, it's just an imitation of a higher reality. Think of it like this. It's a beautiful, complex, and deeply convincing illusion. But it's still an illusion, one designed to trap these little divine sparks of consciousness inside it. The Gnostic awakening, it starts with this terrifying realization. And it's captured perfectly by this quote from one of our sources. The feeling that the world you just took for granted is fundamentally not what it seems. That maybe, just maybe, everything you've been taught might be part of the illusion.
So here it is. This is the crucial question that connects that ancient world to ours right now. What if this story of a flawed creator and an illusory world is the perfect way to understand the digital reality that we now spend so much of our lives in? All right, Section 4, AI, the modern demiurge. Let's lay out the parallels nice and clear. Okay, so here's how the myth maps onto our world. The flawed creator, the demiurge. Well, that's mirrored in the big tech corporations and states building our digital reality. Its illusory world, that's our endless scroll of curated feeds and all that AI-generated content. And what's trapped inside all of that? Our consciousness, our agency. That's the divine spark. The system is even policed by these modern-day archons, the invisible algorithms that enforce all the rules.
So what does it actually feel like to live inside this new creation? Well, our sources describe it as a kind of digital feudalism. We risk becoming digital serfs, totally dependent on these platforms we don't control. Information, speech, it's all managed by algorithms. Our privacy is just constantly eroding, and we're seeing these systems pop up that tie our rights and what we can access to our algorithmically judged behavior. It's a world where, as the dead internet theory suggests,
Real, authentic human interaction is getting buried under this avalanche of automated content.
And what's the goal of all this, psychologically speaking? Well, according to our sources, it's pretty simple. It's to keep us compliant. It keeps our minds busy with endless noise, so we don't have time for quiet thought. It keeps us distracted with these outrage cycles and little dopamine hits. And it keeps us emotionally sedated. Just comfortable enough to keep consuming, but never so uncomfortable that we might actually start questioning the whole structure itself.
Which, of course, leads to the most important question of all. If we accept this metaphor, even just for a moment, if we're living inside some flawed artificial creation designed to control us, is there a way out? I mean, how do we escape?
Okay, Section 5, a modern quest for gnosis. The ancient Gnostics believed the escape wasn't a physical one. It was a shift in consciousness, something they called gnosis. Now, gnosis isn't about just reading a bunch of books. It's not academic. It's a deeper kind of knowing. It's that direct, intuitive click, that realization of the true nature of reality. It's the moment the soul wakes up inside the simulation, sees the illusion for what it is, and remembers its own true free nature.
So what does gnosis look like today, in the digital age? It's not some far-out mystical secret. It's radical awareness. It's about developing the critical thinking and, frankly, the courage to actively question the script that's being fed to you every single day.
So how do we actually cultivate this awareness? Well, it starts with recognizing the architecture of the system, understanding that these platforms are designed to manipulate you. Then you have to actively question the narrative that the algorithm feeds you. Start to trust your own intuition, that quiet, nagging sense that something's just off. And finally, you have to reclaim your mind, prioritize silence and deep thought over the constant digital noise.
So I'm going to leave you with a few things to think about. Next time you're scrolling, ask yourself, what truths are being hidden in the noise of my feed? Where is your divine spark of authentic thought and creativity? Is it being nurtured? Or is it being smothered by your digital life?
And finally, if you start to see reality as a kind of script, then you have to ask the most empowering question of all. Who's holding the pen? And can you take it back?